Hello viewers, welcome to Legacy Online Academy on Facebook, also known as Legacy Academy on YouTube. Today I'll be discussing a very fundamental topic in mathematics called quadratic equation. As we all know, quadratic equation is very large, very broad, especially to students who are in SS2. Now, if actually we're going to be discussing on quadratic equation, all right, in simple terms we can say that it is an equation of a polynomial order which is of degree 2. It is a polynomial of what? Of degree 2. All right, basically that's just what quadratic equation is, because the highest power of x fundamentally for quadratic equation is always 2, and it is of the general form. All right, it is of the general form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b and c are what we call constant. All right, and a is never equal to 0, because once a is equal to 0 it becomes linear equation, and we're not discussing linear equation here. What we're discussing here is quadratic. In order to understand this topic better, I will advise my viewers and students to please don't miss any session until the whole of this topic is being treated. Now we've established that it is a quadratic equation of it is a polynomial of degree 2, and it is of the general form ax squared plus bx plus c. What we are discussing is quadratic equation, not expression. All right, so now in what method of solving quadratic equation? All right, basically we have 4 to 5 methods basically, but they also have other contents in them. The first one we are familiar with is what we call factorization. After factorization, we have what we call completing the square method. We have what we call formula method, and then we have what we call graphical method. Good. Now, I'm not going to discuss factorization or completing the square or formula method or graphical method. No, there are subtopics under factorization that needs to be discussed on. So today I'll be discussing on derivation of quadratic equation with the given roots. If you are given a root, how do you generate a quadratic equation? Now, take for example, we said if x is equal to alpha and this same x is equal to beta. All right, so if x is equal to alpha or this same x is equal to beta, what can you generate to make this an equation? To make this an equation, this x can be minus alpha is equal to 0, or I can decide to say x minus beta is also equal to 0. These two can come together to form an equation. For example, x minus alpha into x minus beta. When we expand this bracket, basically what are we going to have? We're going to have x squared minus alpha plus beta x, all right, plus alpha beta, all equal to 0. So we want to see in Claissens how can we generate a quadratic equation of this form with the given root, or we can use the formula method. All right, formula method states that x squared minus sum of the given roots, times x plus product of the roots. All right, all equal to 0. So if we said that x is equal to alpha and x is equal to beta, sum of the roots, sum will be equal to alpha plus beta. That will give us alpha plus beta as well. All right, that's the sum. Then product will be alpha times beta, which will be alpha beta. Then inject it into the formula. What are you going to have? You have x squared minus alpha plus beta of x, this very x, plus this product alpha beta, all equal to 0. So now in general term, let's look at it in example. All right, they can ask us to form or derive a quadratic equation with the given roots. Derive or form a quadratic equation with the given roots. What are the roots given? For the first one, we are given -2 and +3. For the second one, we'll maybe given -1/2 and -3/5. All the same. All right. So, solution. Using the first method, because we're going to use the two methods to solve this. We're going to use the general method and also the formula method in solving this. Using the first method, we are given that the given roots are, we can say x is equal to -2 or x is equal to +3. All right, so we come down to what we've established earlier. We have x. How do you make this become an equation? 2 will come here to be +2 is equal to 0, or x will come here, you have x minus 3, it becomes 0. These two can form a parenthesis to have x plus 2, all right, and x minus 3 all equal to 0. Then you expand the brackets. X times x, that will give you x squared. X times -3, that will give you -3x, okay. 2 times x, that will give us plus 2x. And then 2 times -3, that will give us -6, all equal to 0. Now, basically, what we need to have is x squared, when we collect like time, -3x plus 2x is like saying 2 minus 3, which will be -1. So this will give us -x minus 6 equal to 0. This is the equation that we can derive with this given roots. That means if you are asked to factorize or solve by formula method, completing the square method, these are the answers you will get. The manipulation involved in quadratic equation is that everything centered around the same thing. All right, so now let's look at second method. Second method, simply say x squared minus sum of the given roots times x plus products of the given roots all equal to 0. All right, so in general terms, what are the roots? The roots are -2 and +3. Okay, so sum of these roots, sum is equal to -2 plus 3, which will give us 3 minus 2, which is 1. And then product, okay, product of this will be -2 times 3, which will be -6. Okay, so we are now going to inject this into the formula. We're going to have x squared minus, what we have for sum of the root is 1 into x plus product of the roots -6 all equal to 0. So that will be x squared minus x minus 1 times x is minus x, minus plus times minus is minus, equal to 0. So also we can have something similar to the second equation, second question. I mean, for example, the given root for the second question is -1/2 and -3/5. Going by the first method, we can decide to say let y be equal to -1/2 or y is equal to -3/5. Okay, if fundamentally this is what we are having, then we can say it y plus 1/2 is equal to 0, or y plus 3 over 5 is equal to 0. Alright, when we connect the like term here, when we clear fraction, we're going to have 2y plus 1 is equal to 0, or 5y plus 3 is equal to 0. These two can come to form an equation to have 2y plus 1 and also 5y plus 3 equal to 0. So when we expand this, 2y times 5y, that is 10y squared. 2y times 3, that will give us plus 6y. 1 times 5, that will be plus 5y. 1 times 3, that will be plus 3, all equal to 0. This will now give us 10y squared plus 11y plus 3 is equal to 0. This is now the quadratic equation with respect to this. Alright.